And there's that hillside across the way there where I was at the first part of this video, walking through, and you see all the devastation from here. Hello, this is Phil with Applegate Outdoors Adventures. Today I will be doing a nature hike out here at the Jackson Creek Wetlands, which is in the Jacksonville Forest Park. And I'll see what kind of spring plants are coming up that might be worth foraging, and maybe find a mushroom or two. Here we have some dead nettles. These are a useful medicinal plant. I'm hoping to find some self-heal out here, which is a Prunella vulgaris, which is a very useful herb. If I see some of those, I will probably harvest a few. And if not, I've got plenty of those growing in my yard. It's been a while since I've been able to get out into the woods, as my vehicle is giving me some problems with the transmission, so I'm kind of limited at the moment on the places I'm able to take it. Really don't want to go too far out in the woods, because that could be risky if it breaks down. This tree with the orange bark is a madrone tree. And this is the kind of place where I will find blonde morel mushrooms growing. I don't see any yet, but there may be some down the trail here as I move along. It is kind of early yet. This plant here is called hound's tongue. You should always check your plants with a reference guide and do your research before eating anything wild. Jacksonville Forest Park is a pretty nice park. It's got lots of trails for bicycles and hikers, and it's pretty close to where I live. It's only about 4 miles for me to drive from my place to here. Now, just above this park, there's another place, which is Motorcycle Riders Association lands, and there's a lot of motorcycle trails up in there. And I did join that club just so I can have the privileges of going up in there, even though I don't have a motorcycle. I do take my bicycle up there, and I go up in and hike those trails a lot when I'm looking for mushrooms later in the season. This trail I'm on right now used to be an old railroad line leading up to some mines, and back around 100 years ago, right here at this location, there was a train wreck at this trestle, and the engineer was killed in this accident. Engine and car started down the grade at a rapidly increasing speed until near the upper end of the city reservoir, when the engine and cars left the track in a general smash-up. This plant is called miner's lettuce, Claytonia perfilata. It's kind of too small right now to harvest, but it looks like we might have a good year for miner's lettuce. Last year there was not much because it was still a drought. This plant is called the Oregon grape, and it is harvested for a a compound called berberine. Berberine is an alkaloid that can be used to treat infections. The pioneers used to use the roots of these plants. They would cut a couple roots and they'd put them in their canteen before filling with water from a creek. That would kill the Giardia in the water. Now, I would advise boiling the water if you can, or use some kind of a purification tablet, but using the pioneer method would be better than nothing if you were in a survival situation. The method involves cutting up the roots and putting them in the canteen and let the water soak the roots for about 2 hours before drinking. This plant, I believe, is Gallium Horangium, or mini bedstraw. It's like cleavers. It's in the same family as the coffee plant. In fact, you can harvest the seeds of these plants, dry them out, roast them, grind them up, and use them as a coffee substitute. And they do contain some caffeine. Not a lot of caffeine, but there's some there. I really haven't seen any mushrooms yet, or any kind of funguses to speak of on this trail. Usually I will start seeing the shooting star flowers popping right at the same time the morels come up. But I'm not seeing any of those either. Well, my doctor's got me on a heart monitor right now, so I am taking it slow up this hill today, taking small steps and going slow. Well, there's some wild strawberries growing. They're not blooming yet, which means it's too early for mushrooms at this spot. Usually when the strawberries are blooming, the wild mushrooms are popping. Yeah, well, here's a nice grove of madrones. And that slash pile there is because they've been doing some fire reduction thinning in here. Sometimes the mushrooms like to grow around slash piles like this, but this one is too new. If the needles were red, it would be just right. This is a different species of Oregon grape, but it also has berberine in the roots. I believe they used to call this one California Mahonia, but they have changed the name. I'm not sure what the name is for it now. Well, I'll just keep heading up the hill. Wow, they really butchered all the manzanita on this hill. Yeah. There's no reason for that. That used to be a good morel patch, but not anymore. Look at all those little manzanita stumps. I can tell you one thing. The Forest Service botanists did not approve that. Okay, we are back into the madrones. I see slash piles pretty much everywhere. Yeah, they've done a lot of thinning out in here of the underbrush. Oh, that was a nice madrone tree. They they took out so they can pile it up down there and burn it later. Okay, we have some shooting stars growing. First ones I've seen today. These are edible. All parts of this plant are edible. They are in the wild primrose family. All primroses are edible. But by the looks of this hill though, they've pretty much taken out all the manzanita, and that has probably killed off a lot of morel patches in here. Okay, well, there's a nice view of the Siskiyou Mountains from here. Entire hillside. They've taken out every single manzanita. In another 10 years, this will all be grass and buckbrush, and it will be way more of a fire danger than this was. Well, here is a manzanita that they did not kill. And that concludes the hauls of manzanita. But we're not done yet. Well, so far today, every mushroom patch that I know of on this trail has been negatively impacted. And here we have a Gentner's fritillary. First one I've seen today, maybe the only one. Usually I see more of these when I come out. And way down there at the bottom of the hill, I can see my vehicle. Well, I will come back here in a couple weeks and see if there's any mushrooms. It's still pretty early. I didn't see any funguses growing, and just about every patch has been impacted by the manzanita removal project that they have going on in here. So that's going to have some effect. And there's some poison oak just starting to grow. Okay, here's a couple beauties. Almost stepped on this one. So I usually find mushrooms here every year. Just a couple though. Pretty much cleaned that patch out. And that's why they call me a ridge runner. And there's that hillside across the way there where I was at the first part of this video, walking through, and you see all the devastation from here. Here are some cleavers that are going into my salad. It's kind of like a mini bed straw. I will boil them first though before I put them in. And there's a little nug popping right next to the trail. I grabbed some lemon balm and some miner's lettuce for my salad. And a couple dead nettles. The miner's lettuce is Claytonia perfilata. I was hoping to grab some fiddleheads along the creek. But I'm not seeing any. Oh, there's the lone trillium. That'd go good in the salad, but I can't take that. It's the only one here. And it may be illegal to pick at trilliums now, so I've been told. There's the type of fern I'm looking for, but no fiddleheads to be had. Well, looks like I lucked out. There is a fiddlehead or two here to be had. I'm going to leave that one. I see a nice bunch of them over here I can take down. Let me take the tips off of them. I always leave a few. These are not the same fiddleheads that they sell, because these are fuzzy. But, you know, I fry these up till they're crispy and they are delicious. You just don't want to eat a whole lot of these. I'm happy just to take a few. We're going to have a nice salad. There's miner's lettuce with bed straw, some lemon balm, which is in the mint family, Morel mushrooms, and a couple fiddleheads, which I will fry crispy, crunch them up, and that'll make a nice flavor for the salad. I like the flavor of burnt fiddleheads. Okay, well, let's head home and make the salad. I will also add some ham and cheese and onions. We'll make it a chef salad with some ranch dressing. It's very important to remember, always cook any wild mushroom that you find. These morels I will cook until they are almost burnt, maybe a little crispy. They will be fried. We'll grab a little clover. Wild mustard. I like to grab these little tips here. They're kind of like broccoli. Broccoli is in the mustard family. Rhodium secutarium is good in salads. This is a stork's bill. Common mallow, which is in the okra family. I always boil the fiddleheads before frying. I will then change the water and boil them a second time. Slicing the morels in half will help you find any slugs or critters that need to be removed. After the second boiling, I see the water is clear, which tells us that the toxins have been removed. And now I will boil the mushrooms. Hot pepper sauce.